is District 3 Representative.
I love the city, but I really try to recognize the south side of town when I kind of keep my citizens of the month. I mean, we have a great community, but we have so much on the south side. And there's two people. The Old West End is Brad King. Brad King, you've been to the neighborhood association meetings, you see Brad, and it's a family thing for Brad. He's got his wife there, he's got his son there, and they love it. They do it because they love the town and their neighborhood. Brad is great. If you've ever done the tours at Beach Grove and right around Halloween, it's just the energetic that he has when he does the tours and everything. You can't really, there's so much you could say about Brad, but the number one thing is Brad is what we all want to have someone in our town is a Brad King for the people, helping everybody. And it's all it's about for Brad. It's just the help for Brad. And Brad, this is way overdue for you, I would say, but please come up and say a few words. But I just want to, the first one, Citizen of the Month, Brad King.
Well, thanks, Brandon. I appreciate this this award and recognition, but this can't be done by me alone. When we moved down to the Old West End, I had long-time residents like the Britons already there established to help guide us through the revitalization, and new residents like the Hannahs that came in to support us. When I moved into the commission, the Preservation Commission, I had legends like Mike Mavis and Russell Irving to lean on. But I had new folks like Brianna Paxton and Margot Dever that came on board with this support. And then when I went on to help form the Muncie Land Bank, we had folks like Marta Moody, who helped guide us through this process, and brought on folks like Dr. John West from Ball State and make this a successful endeavor. So while I appreciate this, I cannot accept this on my effort alone. And through this entire time, I've been there with my family and my extended family down Main Street. So I owe all of them as much as this award owes, I guess, to me. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone that really helped make this happen.
All right, I know I'm kind of extending this out a little bit, but this next one is very important to the South Side too. He kind of came on the scene really and just took it by storm and went going. And it is, if you've ever been over there on Fate Street, you see the Common Market, and Mike Miller is phenomenal. Or Mark Martin, sorry, phenomenal with the game changers and you got Miss Najetta that's always she's always got Menard with her walking around. Their team has really taken the south side of town by storm. I can't say enough. I can't wait to see what you're going to do. The way that you connect with the youth over there is something that we have needed for a long time. You have the game changers that show these kids the haunted houses, what you can do. And, even if you make some little mistakes, because we've all done it as Southsiders, you make some little mistakes, you see what you can come back from, and you really show the south side of town and the kids what you can come back from, and you give them the building blocks to what they can become, which is even more important. So the next one, I know, Mike, you have a bunch of people that you would like to thank, But I just want to thank you for getting this started, for what you're going to do, for the Clink Brothers and that's in motion now, and the way you work with the Ross Center over there, and you and Neil and everybody working with the people with addiction that's really plagued our side of town, that how much help that you give them does not go unnoticed. And that is why I had to, when I thought of Brad, I thought of you too. You're right there. You're right there that's my neighborhood. And to see my neighborhood be brought back, and the passion that you guys have to keep it going, to bring it back. Ogle, I know you know that south side of town, buddy. It runs deep in us. And I appreciate you guys. So, Mark Martin, I'd like you to come up and get the Citizen of the Month award as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think very much like what Brad said. When Brandon called me, I told him that I really couldn't take this on my own, and that it's been a great season of celebrating some awards, and I've been very thankful for that. But I told him if I was to take it, that I really want to take it from the whole neighborhood and the neighborhood association. And so I want to bring the Game Changers up with me. You guys they're a big pack. So if you guys want to come up, Miss Janetta. And Taylor Smart, if you guys know Taylor, and her daughter Jazzalee. Jazzalee is actually only 14 years old, and she is now a board member on the Thomas Park Neighborhood Association. And both of them are actually sick tonight, and so they were doing the right thing and staying home. But Taylor, if you're watching online, and Jazzalee, but I just want to, particularly all these guys, just want to tell them just what Brandon had said, that you get the idea if you've been down that you can't get back up, or that maybe you're not worth something. And then that's not true. And then these guys really are a great example to a lot of young people that are fighting hard to get on track or get back on track. And so I wanted to give it to all these guys and girls as part of what we're doing. So
by the way,
also, I just want to, Janetta is now a board member on the Thomas Park Avondale Neighborhood Association. Johnny Randolph and James Nichols. Like I said, Taylor Smart and Jazzalee's daughter, who's 14, at our last neighborhood meeting, she said, "Do you have to be 18 to join?" And we voted she didn't. And so really to all of you guys, thank you for just being a great example to the neighborhood. So this is to all you guys, to the Game Changers.
Oh, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Councilman Garrett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ingram.
Here.
Mr. Garrett.
Here.
Mr. Overby.
Here.
Mr. Dixon.
Present.
Mr. Green.
Present.
Mr. Marshall.
Here.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Selby.
Present.
President Robinson.
Yes. We've got a couple of sets of minutes, but first we'll start out with the November 13th meeting. Is there a motion to approve or any changes that need to be made to those November 13th meeting as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selby, seconded by Councilman Ingram. Roll call, please, on the minutes from November 13th.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Ingram.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. You also received some minutes last week from Lacey, as well as in your packets today from the special meeting on October 16th. We will need to approve those. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve, or if there are any changes that need to be made.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selby, seconded by Councilman Ingram. Roll call, please, on the minutes from 10:16.
Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
Mr. Ingram.
Yes.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. Any committee reports to be had this evening?
Mr. President, I have a Firehouse Assessment Committee timeline report that I would like to present for the record. I forwarded to Lacey and Belinda. And it just gives an outline of the beginning in August 2020, leading up to the Resolution 1723 that was filed in October.
Will you send a copy of that to the council?
I've sent it, I think, to all council members. You and Troy are the last two that have not received it.
Oh, okay. Any other committee reports to be had? Hearing none. We don't have any appointments to boards and commissions this month. There will be plenty next month. So
Why
we'll move
would he
into
have not
ordinances previously
provided that,
introduced.
Troy?
And before you read into the record, ordinance 18-23, Councilwoman Selvey, I forwarded the council, all of the council, an email pertaining to, it came from Mr., was it Knowlton? Anyway, the gentleman that came last month with ordinance 18-23 sent me an email, which I forwarded to everyone, asking that this be withdrawn. He is going to work more closely with the neighborhood association, as we recommended, to find a compromise with the neighborhood so that everybody wins, which is what we all want. So thank goodness. So with that, we need to we can do a voice vote, can't we, Mr. Murphy? Do we need a motion or anything?
There needs to be a motion to allow that to be withdrawn.
Okay, I'll make that motion to withdraw ordinance 18-23. It was seconded by Councilman Ingram. All in favor of withdrawing ordinance 18-23 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good. Ordinance 21-23.
Ordinance 21-23, an ordinance fixing the maximum salaries of each and every member of the Muncie Police Department of the City of Muncie, Indiana for the year 2024.
Is there a motion for approval of ordinance 21-23?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selvey. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Ingram. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 21-23? I don't believe, I think we heard enough last month, unless there's anything new to add, Mr. Wright? No? This is just fixing the maximum salaries of the Muncie Police Department. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance from the public? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Overby,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Ingram,
Yes.
Ms. Selvey.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Dishman,
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. Ordinance 22-23.
Ordinance 22-23, an ordinance fixing the maximum salaries for all elected officials of the City of Muncie, Indiana for the year 2024.
Is there a motion for approval of ordinance 22-23?
I'm sorry, she read 23-23, not 22-23.
Oops, I apologize. Okay, sorry. Ordinance 22-23, an ordinance fixing the maximum salaries of each and every member of the Muncie Fire Department of the City of Muncie, Indiana for the year 2024. Thank you.
Motion for approval of ordinance 22-23.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selvey,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Ingram. Anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 22-23? Again, this is just fixing the maximum salaries of the Muncie Fire Department as part of the local salary ordinance. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak on this ordinance? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Overby,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Ingram,
Yes.
Ms. Selvey,
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Dishman,
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. Ordinance 23-23.
Ordinance 23-23, an ordinance fixing the maximum salaries for all elected officials of the City of Muncie, Indiana for the year 2024.
Is there a motion for approval of ordinance 23-23?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilman Marshall,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Ingram. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 23-23? Anything from the public? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Selvey,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Overby,
Yes.
Mr. Ingram,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Dishman,
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. Ordinance 24-24.
Ordinance 24-23, an ordinance amending ordinance 44-22, fixing the maximum salaries of each and every appointed officer, employee, deputy, assistant, departmental, and institutional head of the city of Muncie, Indiana, included herein for the year 2023.
Motion for approval of ordinance 24-23.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilman
Second.
Ingram, seconded by Councilwoman Selby.
Just making sure I'm not the only one sitting up there.
People here, Leroy.
Anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 24-23? Good evening, Mr. Barber.
Audie Barber, I'm concerned with this because everybody else in the city has received a 10% raise except for the ASME employees. And I feel that the council should take it on their own, maybe tonight, to introduce some language. Where do these people get their raise like they're supposed to, like the rest of the city employees have gotten? So just keep that in mind when you go to vote. They're only getting about a 4% raise and the rest of the city got a 10% raise. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Ordinance 24-23. Good evening, right?
Good evening. First of all, I'd like for it 24-23 to be amended on the language on that for the year 2024, the very last of the ordinance. And this is the same ordinance that we have for this year. It's just we're still in negotiations. So when the negotiations are reached and agreed upon, then we will amend it.
Yeah,
going
it's for the
into
year
next year.
2024,
I'll entertain a motion to amend.
not 2023, Joe Black.
Motion was made by Councilman Ingram to amend ordinance 24-23 to change 2023 to the year 2024. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Garrett. Roll call on the amendment.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Overby?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Robinson?
Yes. Now, is there a motion for approval of ordinance 24-23 as amended?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selby.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Garrett. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance as amended? Seeing and hearing none, roll call please on ordinance 24-23 as amended.
Mr. Overby?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
President Robinson?
Yes. Ordinance 25-23.
Ordinance 25-23, an ordinance for additional appropriations, Beech Grove Cemetery.
Is there a motion for approval of ordinance 25-23?
Make the motion.
Motion was made by Councilman Garrett.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Green. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 25-23?
Audie
evening,
Barber,
Mr. Barber.
can you, on the record, say how much money the cemetery is asking for?
28,751.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance 25-23?
Troy Waters, Superintendent of Beech Grove Cemetery. If anybody's got any questions, I'm here to answer.
Any questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Waters.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Robinson?
Yes. That is it for ordinances previously introduced. We'll move into new ordinances with ordinance 26-23.
Ordinance 26-23, an ordinance of the City of Muncie to amend with local number 1348 International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, and regarding bargaining with the Greg Winters Memorial Fraternal Order of Police.
For introduction of ordinance 26-23.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilman Ingram. I will second it.
Ooh, what was
Anyone
that?
here wishing to speak on ordinance 26-23? Good evening, Mr. Barber.
Again, I'd like to see these read completely out, or at least summarized a little bit more than what they are being summarized. Can you explain to for the record, what this consists of?
Councilman Ingram.
It's basically what this ordinance does is it makes it so that there's a council member on the negotiation committee with the fire and the city.
Will that council member be appointed by the council, or will it be
Yes,
picked by
it
the
will
mayor?
either be the president of the finance committee or his or her appointee.
Thank you.
Good evening, guys. Jason Chafin, President, Local 1348. I'm not here to speak about, I talked to both President Robinson and the author, Mr. Ingram, earlier today. I'm not here to, debate whether the language is good or bad, but I just wanted to point out that I learned about this today when I looked at the agenda. I didn't, and I called my counterpart with the FOP, and he also had no knowledge of this being on the agenda tonight. Again, I'm not necessarily against or for the language, and I understand the rationale behind it, but again, it was just one of those shocking things when I first saw this on the agenda, and I was thinking, holy cow. And I printed it off and realized what it was, but
Holy cow.
I was with Audie there at the beginning. I was like, what is this? So I was kind of disappointed in that, but
Idiot.
so.
Great. That was wonderful.
Councilman
Mr. Chafin, did I hear you say you're for this though?
No, not necessarily. I'm not for or against it. Anytime we consider this the holy grail of documents. This is the holy grail.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime it's up for any kind of public anything, I'm not necessarily going to be for it. This is our holy grail of documents. I don't necessarily want it, to be amended 16 times between now and next council's meeting, or even the possibilities being there of it. So no, I don't necessarily like this ordinance ever being brought up for any reason whatsoever.
You're a public official. I'm not going to get into this. I'll wait till my show tonight.
Nope.
I'll let the meeting stand as it stands. Sorry.
All right. Well, with all due respect, this is just simply cleaning up some language. As we all know, as we all learned from our council attorney several months ago, in the ordinance as it currently reads, the council, when collective bargaining, so when the administration negotiates with the unions, in this case, the police and fire union,
Doing this.
they aren't required to have a city council member present, although if a city council member is not present in the negotiations, then it is required that the chief negotiator for the city's administration contact the finance committee chair within 48 hours of each negotiation. That didn't happen this year. So what we had was the administration unilaterally negotiating without the council 10% raises for both
It's weird
police
that
and
the
fire.
firemen wouldn't want the council
So imagine
there.
my shock,
Council's the fiscal
Mr.
body.
Chafin, with all due respect, when I got the ordinance for 10% raises for both police and fire, and I hadn't heard about it as the finance committee chair. So this doesn't necessarily speak to anything that the fire union or the police union have done wrong. Really, this speaks to what the administration did wrong. I don't want to take words out of Councilman Ingram's mouth. He is the author of this ordinance. But apparently this is something that has to be done to make sure that our contracts are getting negotiated in good faith without politics being at play, especially during an election year. Anyone else
Yes, I
wishing to
do.
speak?
I do. I do have an issue with the language, and I will go back to this section. So if everybody can follow me, Section A, Section 1, Part A, where it says, the mayor shall appoint the members of the city bargaining team, at least one of whom must be the chair of the Muncie City Council Finance Committee or their designee. I think it should be any member. So I think that should be open for the mayor to pick somebody that he can work with. Do you see what I'm saying? So the language should be, I would like it to be a member, amended to say a member of the finance committee.
Well, I think the person who will be the appointed chair of the Finance Committee will be appointed by the elected president of the council. And in my opinion, I feel like as professionals, we should all be able to work together, right? It shouldn't matter who it is. It shouldn't matter, picking favorites or anything else. It should be a professional process. I mean, I can't stop you from making a motion to amend, but that would be my input.
I just feel like everybody on the finance committee should have an equal and fair chance to be represented. As long as they are, I have no problem with the part that says, from the finance committee. I understand that, but it could be any member in the finance committee. That's the amendment I'd like to make, Mr.
The entire
Murphy,
council should
if
be
you
the
can help me
finance
with that.
committee. We'll talk about all this.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selby.
That motion was for any member.
Of the finance committee.
You have to change it from the Finance Committee Chair to instead read any member of the Finance Committee.
So everyone can have equal chance.
Going once, on a second, going twice.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Garrett. Anyone wishing to speak on the amendment? Roll call. Oh, we have one.
Good evening, council. Andrew Pop. Are we still doing addresses? Okay, perfect. I'm worried about this amendment. I'll tell you why. The founders of our very nation gave separate powers to the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. This ordinance, what it's trying to do is correct an error in those checks and balances that was clearly made by the administration. By allowing the administration to pick any member of the finance committee, regardless of how it's constructed, you then take away some of that check and balance from the legislative and you give it back to the executive, which is clearly not the intended purpose of how our nation is set up or the correction trying to be made by this ordinance. I understand the reasoning behind wanting the mayor to have his pick given next year's assembly of the council. I also understand the people should be represented and the people elect the president who's going to appoint the finance chair. And current status, it's always been the president of the council because we've had a full council on the finance committee. Maybe that will change and it'll go back to a 3-man committee. I don't know. But the president of council, whoever he or she may be, will appoint the finance chair and be able to execute the checks and balances that this nation intended that the mayor's office disregarded in the last negotiations.
Thank you, Mr. Pop. Good evening, Mr. Barber.
Audie Barber, once again, I'll probably be up here a lot tonight, guys. Sorry about that. If you're going to change it anyway at all, you need to make it opposite party of the mayor. That way, most everything is split up, Democrat, Republican. If you can't keep politics out, just make it opposite of what the mayor is. And that way, everybody knows they have to work together to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I will say I like it the way it was to begin with.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
This is just to the amendment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at Roe.
Good evening, Matt Wagley, Deputy Controller. If it's not amended the way Councilperson Selvey suggested, I would suggest you put the word "be" in between "must" and "the," because it reads, "Whom must the chair of the city council finance committee?"
Could you repeat that one more time?
Squidward.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh,
what you were
yeah,
saying.
he gets to repeat
The
it.
way the word "be" should be in between the "whom" or "must," whom and must.
Okay.
Who must be the chair of the, that's the way it should read, I believe. I believe that was the intent.
Whom were the be in front of the...
Anyone else wishing to speak on the amendment?
Mr. President, I have a question.
Councilman Overby.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Last summer during the finance meetings, Was there, I know the whole council was basically the finance committee. Wasn't there 3 people that were basically designated to deal with that? Because I know Councilman Clark and I sat in on a phone call with Controller Mr. Wright on the with the state on the budget, and I guess my question is, why wasn't somebody with the negotiations?
It's a good question. Yep. But that's why I felt it important to introduce this ordinance.
We had plenty of people.
Yes, we did.
Anyways.
Yes, we did. Anyone else? I'm sorry, Councilman Overby, but that's a great
answered my question.
Yep, great point, but I don't believe there's an answer to that question.
Okay.
Anyone else wishing to speak on the amendment? Roll call, please, on just the amendment.
Mr. Dishman,
No.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Overby,
No.
Ms. Selby,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
No.
Mr. Ingram,
No.
President Robinson.
No. Back to ordinance 26-23. The amendment has failed.
First amendment died or failed.
Would you like to make the amendment to clean up the?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to change the wording on section,
Say be, the, we, me, and he.
I believe it's 3A, to say the mayor shall appoint the members of the city's bargaining team, at least one of whom must be the chair of the Muncie City Council Finance Committee.
Did you get that, Lacey? Okay.
Or their designee.
Motion's been made by Councilman Ingram to make the change to include the word be, B-E, not to be confused with the stinger bee.
Right.
B-E to section 3, part A, to read at least one of whom must be the chair of the Muncie City Council Finance Committee. Is there a second? I'll second. Anyone wishing to speak on that amendment?
Is this for introduction?
It is for introduction. Roll call, please, on the amendment.
Mr. Ingram,
Yes.
Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
Mr. Overby,
Yes.
Mr. Dishman,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Selby,
No.
President Robinson.
Yes. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance 26-23 as amended?
Mr. Robinson, I think the question that I have is that council wants to involve itself in good faith negotiations with 3 entities. And the whole matter is, it was an oversight by the current administration that has obviously upset a few people on council. And the wording of only informed wants to be changed to involved, and neither or either of the 3 parties that are going to be involved were informed or involved in the writing of this ordinance. I think it should be withdrawn or voted down on the reading. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else wishing to speak?
And vote it down, Aaron.
Yeah, that's usually the Audie Barber. Maybe we just need to suspend the minutes and pass it completely tonight. Thank you.
Well, in order to do that, it would need to be a unanimous roll call, and I'm guessing we won't get that this evening. Councilwoman Selby, did you have something?
No.
Oh.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on ordinance 26-23? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please, on introduction of ordinance 26-23 as amended.
Mr. Green,
No.
Mr. Overby,
No.
Mr. Marshall?
No.
Mr. Clark?
No.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
No.
Mr. Dishman?
No.
President Robinson?
Yes.
Wow.
All right. That is it for new ordinances.
Wow.
Resolutions, Resolution 19-23.
That is my paper. Sorry. All right. Resolution 19-23, a resolution for transfer of appropriations. Mayor.
Is there a motion for approval of Resolution 19-23?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Selby,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilman Garrett. Anyone here wishing to speak on Resolution 19-23?
Good evening again. This is just, we're just moving money from the overtime lines onto the office supplies, gas and oil, electric, and subscription and dues. It's not additional appropriations, just moving money around in the account.
Any questions for Mr. Wright from the council?
Yeah, I do. So we've moved these. Did we make adjustments on the 24 budget in anticipation of these based on the 23 spending?
Well, I mean, we've made adjustments on the budgets moving forward, what we feel like 24 will be. I will say that this is something that is pretty much a given year after year, every December. These budgets are fluid, and as far as the line spending on one area is where you're going to spend more this year,
Well, the
maybe not
mayor's
as
not
much
here.
next year. So again, it's no additional appropriations, just moving money around. So they are fluid budgets.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Wright? Anything from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please. Resolution 19-23.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Overby?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
President Robinson?
Yes. Resolution 20-23.
Resolution 20-23, a resolution for transfer of appropriations. Building Commissioner.
Is there a motion for approval of Resolution 20-23?
So moved. I'll second that.
Motion was made by Councilman Green, seconded by Councilman Garrett. Good evening, Mr. Wright.
Instead of getting my exercise like I normally do, I thought I'd just stand here. So same with this. Steve, building commissioner, had asked me to bring this forward. Council, it's the same deal. We're not appropriating additional funds. We're just moving money around. And I know that he had wanted to beef up his part-time because he has been doing a lot of additional work around the city. So it's just cleaning that up.
Anyone else?
Similar question on this one. It looks like we did not have an increase in the part-time for 24. The only other note on this one is we talked about this a little bit in the budget, is I don't particularly like the other service and charges as line item. That kind of things kind of end up just landing there, and that's where we seem to shift money from historically. So
Yeah, that's because you could pretty much use other services and charges for just about anything, and that was set in by the State Board of Accounts. But does make it easier to move money around.
That's not a good thing.
Anyone else have any questions regarding Resolution 20-23? Anything from the audience?
I mean, do you see that smirk there? What?
Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ingram?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Overby?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yeah.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
President Robinson?
Yes. Resolution 21-23.
Resolution 21-23, a resolution for transfer of appropriations. Beach Grove Cemetery.
Is there a motion for approval of Resolution 21-23?
I'll make a motion.
Motion was made by Councilman Garrett. Second. Seconded by Councilman Green. Good evening, Mr. Wright.
And this kind of goes hand in hand with the additional appropriations that we did earlier with Beach Grove. We're just moving money around into his part-time line from other services and charges to correct issues with that and balance out the budget.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wright regarding Resolution 21-23?
I'm going to have Mr. President. I'm going to have a similar comment on this one, but do want to commend you and Troy for actually making an adjustment to your part-time in 24. You did, looks like you looked at that and made some adjustments. Same thing on the other services and charges. I would have liked to see a reduction there because of the forecast, but I understand that.
Yeah, and I will say Troy has done an absolutely phenomenal job out at Beech Grove this year. It really has. And I think everybody sees it. And I want to thank Troy for all the hard work he's done out there this year.
Any other questions from the council for Mr. Wright? Mr. Barber?
These are appropriations to make up for budget fall from last year for the 2023 year. So basically, when we do get the budget, we make appropriations and to make it come out right in the end. How much out of these three proposals are we looking to raise the budget from what it was supposed to be? Are we looking at 90,000? We're looking at $500,000? Are we looking at $1 million? I mean, does it say on the papers how much it is?
Give me 1 second. Can someone please silence their phone? I don't know if someone's watching a ball game in here. Thank you. I keep hearing it. It sounds like somebody's watching a ball game or watching something.
Troy?
It's not me.
Yeah.
We'll watch Monday Night Football later.
Football hasn't on yet.
Silencing our cell phones during the meeting, please.
So I'd like to know a total of all three of these that we voted on or that you guys are voting on. Is it $950,000 roughly, or is it
75 million?
75 million?
No, I'm
I
kidding.
hope that's a joke.
I kid. You believed it there for a second.
No. I learned the people I can and can't trust, Mr. Robinson.
This transfer in particular is 14,000.
So over the whole three that's been proposed tonight,
This
it's
resolution,
14,000 for all three resolutions,
you want a total for all three?
if you don't mind. I mean, are we looking at,
The appropriations are being increased by zero. These are transfer of appropriations, the money that was appropriated last year for this year's budget.
how much are we transferring?
The 1923 was 3,400. The 2023 is
That is correct, what he said, but
25,133, and the 21-23 is 14,000. Yep.
So
around
25,000.
No, less than 20. 3,400,
22,000.
2,300, and 14,000.
25,000, 3,400.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Mr. Robinson.
50.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anything else on resolution 21-23? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ingram.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. Resolution 22-23.
Resolution 22-23, a resolution approving deduction from assessed value of new manufacturing equipment in an already declared economic revitalization area, Spartak LLC.
Is there a motion for approval of resolution 22-23?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilman Selby, seconded by Councilman Green. Anyone here wishing to speak on resolution 22-23?
yes, Annie.
Good evening, Ms. Roray.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Roray, and I'm the Chief Economic Development Officer for the Muncie, Delaware County Economic Development Alliance. That is quite the mouthful. Before I give this quick prepared speech, I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Snyder's government class that's here tonight. I walked in with about 6 young men who said, quote, this was going to be mad fun, so don't disappoint them tonight. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank all of you up there on the podium for your time and servicing. I know the tremendous amount of time that you give to the city, and I personally appreciate it. While I don't live in the city, I know the amount of time that you put into everything that you're doing here, and I tremendously appreciate it. So I'm here tonight to ask for this resolution that will help Spartak. Spartak will be what they're attempting to do with this tonight. When they are moving forward with what they're planning for our community, it will be a $4.9 million investment in new manufacturing equipment. which will add efficiency to the facility that is located on Memorial Avenue. This project will help retain 100 full-time employees, and it will add 6 new jobs at an average wage of $50,000 plus benefits. And as was stated, this is already in a declared economic revitalization area. Spartech has a reputation for quality and innovation, and we are pleased to have them as part of our business community. With this being a competitive project, they could have actually moved these new jobs and the new equipment to one of their other facilities around the United States, and we were really pleased that they chose our Muncie site for their expansion. We were really happy to work with their representatives during this project to bring it to fruition in Muncie, and we're also grateful to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, who collaborated with us and provided some state-funded support. Existing businesses, Jeff, you've talked about this quite a bit lately. Existing businesses that we have here are the most valuable wins when we're talking about expansion efforts and helping companies to thrive in the Muncie location. This is a company that is just that. We're really grateful to Spartech for choosing Muncie for the investment. They have been an excellent employer in our community and have regularly invested in real estate improvements and new equipment. In recent history, we've assisted Spartech with projects in 2012 as well as 2017, so they just continue to grow, and we look forward to more to come in our community. Thank you to the council for considering this. I know that there are representatives from Spartech in the audience if you have more specific questions, but I would answer any that you have, or I will attempt to answer any that you might have.
Are there any questions from the council for Ms. Roehrig?
Yes.
Anything from the audience?
Chris Welch, new resident, Muncie. Just took over as the plant manager here at Spartech. I really want to thank you guys for your time and consideration with this, and I really look forward to working with the city and helping you grow.
Great. Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on Resolution 22-23? Seeing, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ingram.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
President Robinson.
Yes. That is it for resolutions. We did, however, table a resolution last month at the 11/13 meeting because no one was here to speak on it. I want to make sure we don't have anybody here this evening. Resolution 18-23 was declaring a preliminary economic revitalization area real estate tax abatement for JRF Management, LLC. And we'll just leave that one right on the table. Okay, we'll move into.
Mr. President, I have a question, if I may.
Okay.
What are the procedures, one of our council, what's the procedures to contacting them? Would it be out of line or illegal for me to contact them and let them know? No? Okay, so I will take up on that and ask them to show up. Thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't doing anything.
No problem
Thank
at
you.
all. We're going to move into other business. I do want to allow the council to, if there is any other business to be had from the council.
This is where we get to say our goodbyes.
Well, if it pleases the council, we can get through. We've got 5 names on other business. We can wait till after citizen comment before those of us who want to say goodbyes can.
Goodbye, but I would
Councilman
like
Clark?
to pull resolution 1723 from the table, so motion to remove from table.
Okay.
Resolution.
Second.
Motion was made to bring resolution 17-23, which is authorizing the entry by the city of Muncie, Indiana into a bot agreement and related documents and taking certain other actions related thereto. Motion was made by Councilman Clark, seconded by Councilman Marshall. Roll call, please, on pulling resolution 17-23 off the table.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
Mr. Ingram.
No.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
President Robinson.
No.
What is happening? Good God.
Okay, resolution 17-23 is on the table, or excuse me, off the table.
Take it, we're not having another public works meeting about this?
I guess not.
So I would like to say, if I could, since the 2-month tabling of this ordinance, I have not received any questions or recommendations from any member of the council that voted to table it. So I'm assuming that in that 2 months, there's been no interest or questions from any member of the council.
You're the only person we get to
matter.
email or talk to about any of that?
Point of order.
Point of order, please. Thank you. So if there is
We
no
brought my
other,
boxing gloves.
Hang on 1 second. Councilman Clark has the floor.
so that's my point. So if there are any questions that I can answer tonight as a member of the committee that saw this through from the beginning, I'd be happy to answer that.
Councilman Ingram.
I mean, I personally requested quite a bit of information from the administration that I still have not received all of. So I haven't had a chance to go over any of the information other than the other 8 other bid packages that I did receive. But other than that, I assumed we were having another public works meeting like we were told before this would be coming off the table. So I mean, while I didn't email you for information, I haven't been in contact with the city administration to get information that I still haven't received. So, I mean, if you want to pull this off the table and vote on it at this point without me having that information that I need and being able to go through all of that, I will have to vote no on this.
Councilman Overby?
Being on the committee, we voted to have another meeting, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Selvey, but you sent an email and said we were going to have a committee meeting after the election, which we haven't.
Yeah.
There was, as I pointed out in that meeting, several questions. There was people
Why
that
didn't you
couldn't
do
be
that?
there at the time, members of labor, etc. And as I brought up in that meeting, Mr. Dishman and I had went to different fire stations. We talked to different firefighters, etc. There was some more questions being asked on that. And I'll be the first to say, I'm not I'm not happy with bot. I wish this next council, when they come up, can look that over and possibly get rid of that bot ordinance. I just don't see any advantages of it. And I thought by talking to different people that, and I talked to Mr. Marks at length before that committee meeting and after. I have nothing against him or how he does business. And I looked at some of his work. It's good work. But I was just concerned about some of the questions, and I was hoping for another committee meeting. But I would highly recommend the next council, first thing they do is get rid of that bot ordinance. But that's up to them.
Thank you, Mr. Overby. Anyone else from the council? Yeah, I mean, I was under the same impression as Councilman Ingram and Councilman Clark. With all due respect, Councilwoman Selvey is the chair of that Public Works Committee where where it was tabled and sent to. The first meeting of the Public Works was not live streamed. From what I understand, yourself wasn't there that evening. I didn't know we were to direct those questions to you directly. I was waiting for the next committee meeting to ask those questions in full view of the public. I think it's deceptive to ask questions behind the scenes when we can ask them in a public meeting for all to hear. That second meeting has not been called yet. This council voted to table it. Although the council voted to untable it tonight, I guess. Councilman Ingram and myself are the only ones, as you admitted earlier, that have not received this timeline that you sent. I don't have enough information on this that I'm like Councilman Ingram. If I have to vote on this tonight, it's got to be a no, because I just don't have any information at all. No one has even talked about it. This was brought up in October.
Yeah, 2 months ago.
And the floor is mine right now.
One order.
It was brought up in October. It was subsequently tabled. there was a lot of questions surrounding that ordinance and especially the bot. I think everyone, citizens included, had hoped that that Public Works Committee could happen so that people could come forward and ask their questions. I can tell you're dying to talk, Councilman Clark, so the floor is yours.
Motion to approve Resolution 1723.
I'm sorry?
Making a motion to approve it.
Yeah, well,
Discussion?
The motion has been made.
Call the question.
Well, we're in the middle of discussion.
Question's been called.
You can't just call, we can do a roll call on question. One council member can't just call question and then stop everything.
You call question, you vote on the question. Do you understand the rules of the council?
Mr. Murphy, is this correct?
Public comment.
Was a motion made after the motion table by a member of council?
Well, there's not been a motion to approve yet, so I'll accept the motion to approve and I'll second that motion, just so we can move on to the next issue, which is calling question. Can one member of council call question and we just go to vote?
Not in the middle of a pending discussion. If he is called and calls the question, then there has to be roll call.
On the question, not on the actual resolution.
Well, at this point, we're on the resolution.
So you have a vote to stop discussion, and then you have a vote to.
So you want to vote before everybody gets a chance to speak what they want to say, is what you're saying. Is that what he's trying to do?
Well, so at this point, there is a motion and a second. It is time to begin discussion. If a council member then calls the question, we have to proceed then to a vote.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's go to a vote.
We are in the middle of a discussion, I believe.
Are we technically in the middle of a discussion, Mr. Murphy? From what I understood, the question was called on the motion that was made to take off the table was where the question was called. No question has been called on the discussion of resolution 17-23.
That's correct. The council made a motion and a second to take it off the table, held a whole vote on that. There's now been a motion, which has been seconded, on the resolution itself. And so the discussion begins now on 1723, subject to a member calling the question.
Okay.
So we can continue on with the discussion.
Correct.
All right.
Is there anyone from the council wishing to speak on resolution 17-23?
What's the game?
Councilman Overby?
I am. And as I said, I'm disappointed we didn't have another committee meeting because
What's
there
the point
was
of the game here?
a lot of people, not just myself, but a lot of people who couldn't be here, didn't see it live stream and had questions as they contacted me. I'm all in favor of the fire station the fire department getting fire stations, but as I've said in the beginning, I'm just not comfortable with the bot. I'd like to see it go to open bidding, and I think it could be done. The administration has took bids for a new building, and it was open bids. So that's what I'd like to see. And I'd like to see the next council, do that. But again, that's up to them. But that's how I feel about it. And I just wanted to get that out there.
Thanks, Councilman Overby.
President.
I think we'd be doing our constituents a great disservice if we pull this off the table and vote to pass this thing without any discussion or being able to take any input from the public. The public has been waiting for that Public Works meeting. The first one came and went, was not live streamed like every other committee meeting has been. There has not been discussion on this in a little over
Clearly, we can
over 2 months.
We can tell that.
I just think we would be doing a huge disservice to our constituents if we voted in favor of this without any further discussion and without having that committee meeting
Killed it.
that this council has called for and that never
It will
came.
be bad, but that's what they'll have
Mr.
to
President,
do.
I have a question I'd like to ask.
Okay.
Do we have to pull that off the table in order to discuss it? Isn't that what we did? We pulled it off the table in order to discuss. We can't discuss it. It's not on the table. Is that correct?
Well, the Public Works Committee could discuss it while it's on the table.
I mean, the council cannot.
This council cannot while it's on the table. Certainly bringing it off the table, obviously we can have discussion, but we had originally tabled it to send to Public Works. So we were just the Public Works Committee could have that discussion, but not the council.
I would like,
Mr. President. I think the misunderstanding is that we're voting to build a firehouse tonight, and it's not. We're actually voting to enter into an agreement, and it will be up to the next council to do the due diligence to work on the financing of said building through that build, operate, transfer agreement. We are not voting to build a fire station tonight.
Don't do this. Don't do
I
this.
think it's misleading to say it. We are trying to usurp the public or
Don't
try
do
to not
this.
get public input when this is
You're
this
trying
has
to
been
go
sitting
fast.
for 2 months and I have
What
had
you should
zero
be doing.
public question or zero questions from anyone that voted to table it.
He wasn't at the meeting.
That's just true.
Well, again, Councilman Clark, I didn't know that you were the one that we should be directing questions to. I was waiting in anticipation that the next Public Works meeting would be an open meeting where council members who voted to table could come and ask those
Well,
questions.
I think as a member of the Public Works Committee and a member of the Firehouse Assessment Committee, I would probably be the person that you would want to go to get information from. But obviously that's
why. Go ahead and finish.
no, that's okay.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
You know,
Mr. President, could I interject something?
Councilman Overby.
When we had the public, or the committee meeting, and I don't have it right in front of me, but one of the questions I asked Mr. Martz was, there was a whole section in that, and I'm just going to give you the Reader's Digest version of it, is once it starts, the council or government really don't have a say in it at that time. And he agreed that that was not very good verbiage and that could be taken out. So in order for me to enter into the bond, I think that should be amended and that section be taken out, because once this starts, new council or anybody, from what I read on it and what we talked about that last meeting, is it's like here we are, and they can do basically how they want to do it. There was questions in that basically was blank sections in that bid in the budget that I asked questions about that were blank, and I was told that that's in case we have to put another line item in there for this and that. It seems somewhat ambiguous to me. That's why I'm very skeptical about the bot.
Well, and the way the resolution is written, this was the very similar. Of course, I don't know the language in the current resolution, but in the resolution when it was the solar ordinance, there were pages of amendments that were made because of the very reason that you're mentioning. It was really ambiguous. After we passed that resolution as amended, the current administration used that resolution and that green light to go ahead and then purchase property to put a project on. That was the solar project that then ended up failing to pass. So now the city is the owner of that land. This resolution does more than just simply say, yes, we can look into it. It opens the door to other things.
Absolutely. This is a Pandora's
Again,
box.
heavily amended the first resolution, and this one is a mirror image of that resolution without the amendments made to it. So if we pass this thing tonight, with none of those amendments made, then I think your fears are real.
I'd just like to see the public input that people were promised and be able to look that over and make those amendments.
Roe not
And
making
again,
the
there's nothing
comment about
against
why
the
she hasn't
developer
done
or anybody,
her
but I just want to see,
Roe
you know,
needs to
the
be
next council
commenting
have a
about why
say
she's not done
in
her damn job.
what's being done with that instead of just throwing it out there and saying, you know, you got carte blanche to do what you want.
Anything further from the council? Mr. Barber?
Yes, we were promised a second meeting on this. We still have a lot of questions. Ms. Selvey explained at the October meeting that she would not let another fireman sleep in that fire station another night. But she has failed to call a second meeting. And as far as asking Mr. Clark about it, yeah, I can ask him on the telephone and he can give me answers on the telephone. But when the meeting's called and he's not here, then that's a problem. He wasn't here for questions that night, and I was going to hit him up with some questions on the meeting to have it on the record. I don't like the backdoor stuff. I don't like talking on the phone and not being held responsible for what you're saying on the phone. I think it should be on the record. With that being said, I know the same company has turned in bids for other fire stations over the state instead of the bot, and have done fire stations for about half of what they're charging us here on this, and turned out to be pretty real nice fire stations. I just feel that you can take out $8.5 million. You got 7 fire stations in this city. You can take out $8.5 million, put $1 million in every one of them fire stations, and still not spend the $8.5 million, and still bring all them fire stations. $1 million is a lot of money on a building. You can do a lot of renovation to them fire stations for $1 million of property. And I promise you, just like Mr. Ingram said, there was 8 other bids on this job. Nobody else seen those. You had to ask for them. Nobody presented them. Nobody said there was 8 other bids on this. Is this even the lowest bid? I think the last administration got in some trouble for giving out bids. And when I say last administration, I don't mean the last 4 years, the 4 years before that, for giving out bids or for giving out jobs without bids on them. And I guarantee you, on them 8 bids that they still have somewhere else that ain't been turned in to where the public can see, you have to go to the mayor's office and the chief's office to get copies of them, that somewhere there was a lower bidder on that.
There were no bids on that, Mr. Barber. It's called RFPQ. It's a request for.
Was Mr. Mertz the lowest bid on that? Was that the lowest qualified bid on that?
Yes, he was. Yeah, so it wasn't a bid. It was a request for qualification.
There was 8 other proposals?
Respondents.
Respondents,
It's called
correct.
The bot process.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But nobody was made aware of that until recently. So nobody in the public had a chance to look into these people or anything. You guys are giving this money away. And when I say you guys, I don't mean the whole council. This administration is giving this money away like the administration did 4, 5, 6 years ago. Guess what happened to those folks?
So,
they were given these. Point of order, please. I've got the floor right now. Thank you.
Mr. Barber, let's refrain from doing that. Councilman Clark, this is a city council meeting. Councilman Clark is a sitting city council member. He deserves the respect and to be able to respond to your questions.
When I'm finished with the question, if that's fine.
When you finish with your question, I'd like to allow Mr. Clark to have an opportunity to answer.
I have no problem with that. But like I said, I think we can get these stations fixed for a heck of a lot cheaper.
Respect.
Or get a brand new fire station at number 6 built for about $4 million, and they'll have a really nice fire station. So I hope and pray that you guys will table this again, or if you vote it down, it can't come up for another year, but then they can turn it out for bids with the new council to get them a new fire station. Thank you. Now, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, I respect your experience in the construction industry. I do. But I think the way that the build, operate, transfer process works, it allows an entity, a municipality, to work with a developer to do the due diligence in the background, although it's out of public view. So there's a committee that is formed, and that's what was done in 2021.
Still
a
out of the
committee
public
of
view.
4 firefighters, the fire chief, the deputy chief, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and myself as a non-voting member representative from the council. And so you work through that process of the RFPQ, which
Do a whole
says
bunch of shit
we as a
before
city
the
know that
public
we
gets to
have
see it.
firehouses that need renovated. We don't know how to get from point A to point B to point Z. You, as a skilled, experienced developer, a respondent to this RFPQ, is going to help us through this process. So 9 respondents came in, and that was in April of 2021. And we went through the process of narrowing down those 9 respondents based on the criteria that they provided us. We essentially interviewed who we thought the top 3 were, the top 3 respondents. And we said, present your qualifications to us and tell us why
See what
you're
he's
the
doing
best
right now?
to work with
This
us as a
should be
city. Because we
happening
know we have
during
issues
a
with our
meeting that
firehouses.
they can call.
We know we have
This should not be
maybe some
happening right
firehouses that
now.
aren't in the right locations. And we want to get those fixed for the health and wellness of our firefighters, for response time to the citizens of Muncie. So there was nothing behind the scenes of we're going to hide things, we're going to move money around. There was no money exchange. It was the fact that this whole process has been done with zero cost to the taxpayer. GM Development has completely taken the cost upon themselves from the assessment to the runtime survey, to the up to 30% of the documents that have been done so far. That has been done by GM Development. We're not responsible for that. If the future council decides that they want to take part in this build, operate, transfer agreement by funding it, then we will become responsible for those costs through that agreement of what he has done. But behind the scenes, there's been nothing but professionalism by the 4 firefighters that have been on this council, on this committee, by myself, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and both the chief and the deputy chief, starting with Chief Miller, who was in the beginning of this. So I understand that you think that things could be done cheaper, and you've been on job sites where there have been different ones. I think the one you're talking about in particular has a higher cost overall than this would cost us. Now, that we would agree to, or the future council would agree to, is a price that is a max. So if it came in below that, then that's what the cost of the city. If it comes in at $6.5 million, that's what the city pays. And we follow along through the process with the developer, so we know who the general contractor would be. He's already said it's going to be Hagerman. They're going to use local union labor. It's going to be bid out to local contractors. That's part of the process of us being able to pick that. When you go out to public bid, it can come from South Bend. It could come from Missouri. They could come from New York. They could come in, do the work, and we see it all the time through the public bid process. And this is like Mr. Martz had said in the meeting 2 months ago, this is the only way that we can really protect our local labor, is through the build, operate, transfer process. Because we, as an entity, as a council, as a city, can pick and choose who does our work. And that's the important part of it. And I think you're overlooking that by claiming that there's like some backroom deal going on, because there's nothing.
I just want to make sure there's nothing.
There is nothing.
And if you put it out for bid,
It goes out
and
to
it's
bid
easier that way.
through GM Development, through Hagerman Construction.
Mr. Barber, thank you very much. There's
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
people waiting
Thanks for allowing me
behind
to
you.
speak.
Good evening, Mr. Pop.
Good evening, Council, President Robinson, and Council as a whole. I'm glad that this came off the table for discussion. I'm upset that it's been moved for approval because we were promised a second Public Works Committee. I think, Mr. Clark, obviously it's been mentioned you weren't there, but Ms. Selvey and Mr. Overby, I believe you'll call. I had a manila envelope full of documents and questions and things I wanted to ask. I had a notebook. I came very prepared because I'm on the Fire Merit Commission. I'm all for the firefighters. I'm all for them getting these firehouses, but I had a lot of questions. Mr. Clark, you had said nobody had reached out. I'd have you check your phone earlier this week. I gave you a call.
That's what I said in the order for it.
I'll grab mine and I'll bring that up. Gave you a call. I had some questions about this. I would really like to see the motion to approve withdrawn so that we can have a Public Works Committee. Some of the questions that I had, I don't have my list, so I'm gonna spitball some off my head. There's a paragraph in there, I believe Councilman Overby mentioned it prior to, that made this document seem very restrictive. We didn't get a lot of clarity on that, but Mr. Martz, I believe I said his last name right, from GM Development, did say that the council could remove that language if they seem so fit, if that would assist the council and the public and be more agreeable. So that's an amendment that could be made, that the developer said could be made, that at least for me and what seems to be for the council that has said, some members of the council that have said, this seems very restrictive. That could be an amendment that would assist in moving this forward, which is where it needs to go. I don't know if it's bought, but the end game needs to be new firehouses. Another question that I had in the resolution, and I had the line and everything all drawn up. I believe it's on the second page, maybe the back side. It stated that the mayor and his financial advisor. I checked the budget. I love the budget. There's no line item for financial advisor. I don't know who that individual is. Do we have that person in place? Is that something we would be hiring in, such as bond counsel? I wasn't familiar with the language.
Yeah.
It would be
Gregor, but it would be a bond agent. Yes.
Okay, so it'd be a bonding agent.
And they
Thank
have
you.
a new bonding agent. The city has, I think, was hired probably 6 months ago.
Do we know who that is?
I'm not sure who it is.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Wright and Mr. Wagley had other obligations. They left. It might be time for Monday Night Football. The other question that I have to the body as whole is, we're looking at a situation where, yes, we can amend the language to make it less restrictive. This council is getting ready to drastically change. And this council in front of us, at least by a majority, has chose to bring this off the table. A motion and second has been made to approve, is wanting to write a check, start the process of writing a check.
You're right, Moore.
That my son will pay, that these high schoolers' children will pay. And as of last month, this council is going to be very different. The council who's going to make those decisions are going to be very different. I would really appreciate, and I don't remember those minutes, but I was here. I promise it was said that the two members of the Public Works Committee who were in attendance said that they could not move forward at this time with a recommendation, and a second meeting would be scheduled. I have a list of questions. The information that was provided to the other councils would probably answer some of my questions. You had mentioned response times as a non-voting member of the committee. Is there still a concern with the response times of where the stations are located?
Not where they are now.
Okay, perfect. Because that's what was relayed in the meeting. I wanted to make sure there was no confusion because it was brought up.
The only change would be 3s right now is on Hoyt. It would possibly moved out towards maybe more towards Cowan Road area.
And 6 would just be very slightly shifted, same exit Theraway right there. So at least that was what he explained in the meeting. I appreciate the willingness to do this tonight, but I don't appreciate the lack of due diligence as far as the public goes with not being allowed to have the meeting we were told. And I ask that this not be voted on tonight. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Pop. Good evening, Ms. Powell.
Nora Powell, 1401
Your
North Dwayne
Highness.
Road. I can't speak intelligently on this resolution because I really have no information about this resolution. I was elected. I was very fortunate to be voted in for District 2 Representative Jeff here. I have not received anything from you, Mr. Clark, on any of this information. And from what you're saying tonight, you're going to be we're entering into an agreement. Is that correct?
Just vote on the build, operate, transfer agreements. It's
Correct.
not the finances of it.
It's not but it does start the process of us having an agreement. Mayor Ridenhour reached out to the six new members of council and wants to meet with us later this month to update us on projects and explain where we are on things. And so unfortunately, this will be voted on before we're actually even given the opportunity to hear where we could potentially go with this. I'm not making any comment on the resolution itself. I do support our fire department. I think that they do deserve to have a healthy environment to work in, as do all of our city employees. But we have 6 new council members that will have to see this through. I was not able to be at the Public Works meeting. It was not live streamed. It was not recorded, so I couldn't even look back for that reference. I was looking forward to that second meeting that was promised, and unfortunately, evidently, it's not going to be held before you vote this evening. So I suppose I'm asking for some professional courtesy to the next council, to the next 6 council members, which will have to see this through once you, at the final meeting, in the final minutes, pass this potentially, to give us the professional courtesy to be educated on this, to go to a Public Works meeting, to learn about what this agreement will mean for our community, so that if nothing else, we can move forward intelligently. So I would just ask, again, no comment whatsoever on the merit of this resolution. I know that myself and the new council persons that I've talked to support the fire department, and we think that this is valid and it should be discussed and seen through. But to enter into an agreement
He's smart.
for the next council, I think is reckless and unfair to those 6 council persons who are going to be taking over. So I would respectfully ask for the professional courtesy that you vote this down this night, or leave it on the table until we can attend a Public Works meeting. Thank you.
I vote it down.
Ms. Powell? Mr. Chafin?
Good evening again. Jason Chafin, Union President. I just wanted to talk to Smalley about this ordinance in general, and obviously the need we have as a fire department for new fire stations. I mean, I talked about it at length at the Public Works Committee hearing and publicly, that we do, and I don't think there's too much debate amongst anyone that we do definitely need new fire stations. My main concern, was going into this process was, again, BOT was new. I know, and I'm ashamed it wasn't live streamed or whatever, but I know at that Public Works hearing, Mr. Marsh did an excellent job explaining to me and basically every question that was answered
He gave
that
everybody
anyone had
millions
at
of
that
dollars
meeting,
for what he was doing, for what he saw.
very eloquently and completely. I was actually kind of surprised we were going to have another one because we ran out of questions at the meeting, at least,
You dude.
like basically comparing it to a fixed rate mortgage versus a variable rate interest mortgage.
You were there, you
like I said, it was very
there was more questions, more answers. He's lying.
good meeting. And like I said, we don't really have a plan B right now. And all this does is introduce it for that next council. If they want to fund it at $0 because they don't end up liking it, they can fund it at $0, or whatnot, So again, however we get new fire stations, however this comes to be, I appreciate everybody's work for this. I appreciate the guys on the committee that worked for it. I appreciate you guys all for taking the time you have taken to, to try to learn about this. And I was in the same boat as you guys learning about it. But it is a need for the fire department to get our stations up to livable conditions.
You
Thanks,
learned
guys.
about
Mr.
this
Chafin?
last month.
I think Andrew.
Anyone else from the council?
Thanks for allowing discussion. I appreciate that.
I apologize. I have one question that came to mind about the vote, and this may be for Mr. Murphy or any of the council. If this is voted down tonight, I know with an ordinance, there's a waiting period before it can come back up. Is there a time frame where if this is voted down tonight, it has to wait before it can get brought back up?
Mr. Murphy's resolutions are the same as ordinances in that regard, aren't they?
We also need a mic at the attorney's table. For the love of God, it's 2023. What is going on here?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
If I may.
We just don't know the answer to that, Mr. Pop.
Oh my God.
Can we hold off a vote until we know what we're doing with this then?
Nope.
Okay.
Mr. Overby?
With my concerns, I'm sure some people wondering why I voted to take it off the table. The reason is so we could have some discussion since we didn't have the committee meeting. and we are having that discussion, and I've heard some pretty valid points here. And
My God.
Mr. Chafin brought up the point.
Oh,
Is there a plan B? If we don't vote for the bot, and Mr. Clark, maybe you can answer this, is there a way, is this the only way that fire stations can be built?
Obviously, no. I mean, the city can approach a public bid process. Now, I'm not sure if the work that is done so far is proprietary to GM Development, you know, and that business or not. I don't know that.
Cares.
But the next council can choose to take up a funding option for a public bid for that. That's totally up to the next council, as well as financing this agreement is totally up to the next council.
And again, sir, with respect to you and everybody involved, Ms. Powell brought up a good point, and I had hoped that we could actually make a decision here that affects the next council.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't prepared to do that. I was hoping that we could say, you know, they're going to have to deal with this. Whoever's on the next council is going to have to deal with, are they going to go with BOT? Are they going to go with Plan B? Are they going to fund it? So basically what you're saying is if we pass this, and believe me when I say my humble opinion is to put it on the table and let the next council deal with it. My only fear, and I've told people this in the last week or so, because this has been the front of my mind ever since this came on the table, is to say, you know, if it gets killed, are they going to be able to get fire stations? If it doesn't get killed, are they going to fund it? And we're late in the game now. That's why, again, I was hoping to have a committee meeting to say, let's answer all the questions. Let's get it out there all on the table and let's go for it. Now, having said that,
Right in the curtain.
I would love to see it tabled and let the next council take a swing at it and do, because they're going to be involved in it. Whatever we do tonight, they're going to be involved in it. If we table it, they're going to be involved. If we kill it, they're going to be involved. If we pass it, they're certainly going to be involved with the funding, as Mr. Chafin says. So that's my concerns, Mr. Clark, and I just wanted to hear from you,
My
your thoughts
concerns
on
are
that,
how hard
because
they're trying to push this.
I would like to see amendments done to that, as I brought up in the committee meeting, and I understand you wasn't here, but Mr. Marks definitely said that there's some things there that could be, maybe should be changed.
One, I appreciate the discussion. I think that was something that it was cut short in the original October meeting. I personally think it was intentional. I'm not going to go into that politics side of it, but tonight I do appreciate the discussion that we had, and I would be in favor of putting it back on the table and letting the next council deal with it.
I would make a motion to do that.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call.
You've already got a motion on the floor, don't they?
Roll call, please.
Hold on, what are we voting for again?
It's a table it now.
Put it back on the table.
Which ring am I supposed to look at here?
We're voting, the motion was made to table the resolution.
There was already a motion on the floor to approve.
There was a motion to approve. Now there's been a motion to table and a second to table. So now discussion ends on the resolution, and we immediately go to roll call to put it back on the table. Just one to
Somebody
table.
bring in the lion tamer.
Mr. Overby.
Yes.
Mr. Dishman.
Yes.
Ms. Selby.
Yes.
Mr. Clark.
Should there be a motion to withdraw the motion to approve?
I heard that,
Nope.
Jeff.
There doesn't have.
No, we don't need to.
You sure?
Council.
Yes, we are proceeding on the motion table.
Yep.
Proceeding on motion to table? Yes.
I heard what
motion to
Jeff
table.
said.
Mr. Marshall.
No.
Mr. Rainey.
Yes.
Mr. Merritt.
Yes.
Mr. Ingram.
No.
Mr. President Robinson.
No. And we brought it off.
Let's vote.
President Robinson, I know we can't speak about that,
Can't.
but
No, we're moving
I'm
on.
not talking about that.
I know, you can come back up. You've got
January 1st is your next meeting, so you might address that for the new
January
council.
1st will not be the next meeting. It'll be the Monday after the 8th.
Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Barber.
I assume that's tabled.
Yes, it's table. We're moving into other business now.
Tabled.
It'll be, now it is, if my understanding is correctly, and Mr. Murphy, correct me if I am wrong. So because we pulled it off the table, now typically when you table something, it can sit on the table for 6 months. If no action is taken, then whatever that is, whether it's a resolution or an ordinance on the table after 6 months, dies, goes away. Now, if I'm to understand correctly, because we voted to pull it off the table, and then we voted again to put it back on the table, that now that clock starts fresh again. So now you will have 6 months beginning today to pull that off the table. If it's not pulled off the table in 6 months, then that resolution will die. Everyone clear? Everyone understand what just happened?
Yeah, well, finally. And I just hope everybody can work this out because they do need fire stations.
Yes. All right, well, we are moving into other business, beginning with Charlize Jamison.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Charlize Jamison, and thank you for only making me speak once. I was about to speak up. But thank yous, I think, are in order. And as I count up here, there's 5 of you that won't be here next month. And I think that it's appropriate, whether I have always agreed with you or not, that I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And Aaron and Brad, Roger, Troy, and Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I do want to single out 3 people. Because you've kind of been in it for the long haul here, most of you. Roger, there's different strengths and weaknesses up here, but I hope we can all agree that this council, we're going to lose a lot of deep experience that's on this council right now. And Roger has been around. I'm not saying you're old.
I am old.
But, okay, Roger's old, and he's been around Muncie government in some capacity for I don't know how many years.
Since the earth cooled off, I believe.
And so he's quite a resource
Thank you.
that we're losing off of council. So experience. Troy, we're losing independence, independent thinking.
That's a great way to put it.
Yes.
The council needs, I hope the new ones are listening. The council needs people who aren't going to sit up here and vote the way their party chair demands of it. And that goes for either party. So Troy, I know you've caught some grief, but you haven't caught it from the public.
Absolutely not.
And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Jeff, anybody who can be in the minority party on council, I think I've counted right, 3 times been elected city council president, says a lot about your leadership capabilities. And it says a lot about the respect that your fellow council people have for you. That says a lot. And I just hope that this isn't the end of when we see Jeff Robinson running for a public office, because we need you. We need you desperately. And I want to make one more point, and I'm probably over my time.
We'll let you keep going.
I
can guarantee somebody's on the live stream right now. What about the 3 minutes? What about the 3 minutes?
And maybe
one of my haters, one of them's in the crowd, so maybe not.
But our administration here has made a commitment to improve communication and to improve what's the word?
Transparency.
Transparency, thank you. And I think we were missing a lot of that in some of the discussion tonight. Probably why we voted the way we did on the last article. Not enough information. And I hope that our mayor will work much closer with the next council and communicate with the next council more than he has done, starting with attending council meetings. Starting with that. I didn't keep track, but I would venture to say that our mayor has been missing from council meetings far more than he's been here. And working around the council is not how it's meant to be. We should be working together to get things done, not separately, where you come to a council meeting and find out behind the scenes.
What's happening here? Hold on. Delay a game.
Means that something's been done. That's not how it's supposed to.
Good evening, Dr. Taylor.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes. I'll keep it brief. Just a reminder that the library, I know we've got holidays. This is the season. Lots of holidays, people busy, but I really would encourage members of the public, city employees, elected officials, anybody. We want your input. There's no final decisions being made, but we're beginning to discuss. Last month, we'll continue this month. We're discussing some of the particular ethics standards, like on nepotism, gifts, that sort of thing. So please come out. I want to thank City Clerk, Ms. Munson. I'm sending her as we finalize, when we finalize the materials for each meeting. I'm sending, minutes, agenda, all the other materials. She's archiving them on the city website. So there will be, whatever happens, there will be a permanent record of what was done. In the meantime, we have created a Facebook page. You can find it under Muncie Ethics Advisory Committee if you search. And what we're doing there, we're posting, besides the legally required notices down at the library or wherever we're meeting, post notices, we'll be posting. There's also a link to sort of a current file repository where you can see like the agenda of the upcoming meeting and materials and those sort of things as they're prepared. So we're trying to do this. We're committed to doing this as transparently and openly, not only as required by law, but just as transparently and openly as we can. I think this is an important issue and an important opportunity for the city. And we're going to keep trying to get the word out, but we encourage anybody who's got an interest in seeing the city continue to operate ethically to come out and give us your input and feedback on what needs to be in this ordinance that we'll be bringing back to the next council next September, October next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Councilwoman Selvey, 1 second.
Dr. Taylor, I have a question. Could you talk to me real quick? I really appreciate it. I learned a lot being in there. And I know you have certain members on your committee and you guys are splitting the work. Could you tell us about attendance, if every member has been attending? And could you tell us if you, as a committee, have created a way you can report to us about attendance? And if you need, because it's a lot of work and we have to make sure that everybody's carrying their load. So what can you say about that to me?
Well, we've had 2 meetings, so I'll say off the top of my head, we had the entire committee was there at the October meeting.
Okay.
And in the November meeting, we had
Without naming names.
We had eight out. Everybody was in attendance but one at the November meeting.
So do you have a requirement to make sure, like, about attendance is, like, as a group, have you guys agreed on attendance and the importance of attending?
No, I mean, there's no specific rule. I mean, we've talked about, process of, like, when we're going to get our agenda together in advance of the meeting. I'll say I've had some people come concerns about issues of who's been appointed that it needs to address with the council. I guess we haven't adopted a rule about attendance. Not sure in the resolution if we have the power to do that. We've been tasked with doing specific things as far as drafting an ordinance, and that's what we're focused on.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, for all your work on this ethics committee. This is not an easy task, and you're going to have your critics, and you're going to have people who think that, this is happening or that is happening. So I really appreciate you coming to each of these meetings and letting all of those people know that these meetings are open to the public. They're welcome to come and be a part of the process. If they think that it's anything other than what it is, they should come.
Yeah. I guess I'll add, one thing I've told people, I had people contact me, about different issues. I've invited them to come to the meetings, and I've told people too, if they have issues they want the committee to consider that, and for some reason they can't be at the meeting, or it's longer than they could say, maybe in a short statement, then they're welcome to put that in an email to me. My email address is cdtaylor@bsu.edu. And what I will do, I will share those. I'll put that in the council packet so that, or in the committee packet so that everybody shares it. It will become a part of the record, same as if they came to a meeting. So there are multiple ways for people to get their input to us. Because I feel like at the end of the day, what will be judged for is the work that we do and the ordinance that we bring back to the council, that the future council, they'll be able to enact it, amend it, throw it in the trash can. I mean, it's I think people forget it. We don't have a lot of power. The committee, we have a lot of work to do, but ultimately, the ordinance that gets enacted or not will be up to the next council.
Dude,
Well, and on behalf of a grateful council and certainly a grateful community, thank you, Dr. Taylor, for all your work.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Audie Barber.
Oh my God. We don't got time for that.
Okay, Audie Barber, I'll try to make this short and sweet because I know Lacey has to type all this stuff out. So, first of all, I want to say that I'm not accusing any of the administration at this point of wrongdoings. I just don't want to see it be brought up later and say, oh, yeah, wait, they have been. So, I'll put that out there. And I wanted to make sure that the people knew that the next meeting is January the 8th, not January the 1st, because some people don't look at holidays and stuff and they just say, oh, there's the next meeting. So we're on the record with that. And furthermost, I would like to thank the council as a whole. Most of the times, if I called you, I haven't had a chance to call Mr. Marshall or Mr. Green, but the rest of you I've called and talked to. We've argued, we've maybe said a few choice words to each other, but we've got through it. And it's been a delight. We're losing 3 really good members of the council. I'm not going to go on the record and say which 3 I think they are, but
Holy shit.
I hope them members, sir, I hope them members come back in 4 years and do the paperwork the correct way. And then maybe, I'm not pointing you out, Mr. Ingram, because I'd like to see you back on the council.
I appreciate that.
I know we're on different spectrums of the political sides, but
Spectrums.
I think you do the right thing for the people of Muncie, and I think that's very commendable for you. Thank you very much for your service. And for the rest of you guys, if you decide to retire after this and don't want to come back, I understand that too, because it can be pressing at times. So, and when the new council comes in, guess where I'll be? Right here. And hopefully it goes as good as it has for the last 4 years. So there's been a couple bumps in the last 4 years, but not nearly as many. So thank you all for your services. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Jason Chafin.
Hi guys, I just wanted to echo kind of what Teresa and Nadi both said. I wanted to thank you guys for a pleasurable 4 years, but both your original members and all of you guys that came on throughout the 4 years. I mean, you guys have been an awesome council. It's been a privilege to sit here and watch you guys work. You did a great job. I know this next council will. Most of them are sitting over here. We'll continue that going. And like I said, I'll miss some of you guys that aren't coming back, and we'll see you again. And I just want to thank you guys for your service to the community and the fire department and all around for a good 4 years. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chafin. Nora Powell.
She's like, I want to give myself an award.
Nora Powell, I'm coming up tonight as the president of Westridge Neighborhood Association, and I wanted to thank you. You, especially Jeff, I know that you and Anitra Davis, former council person, Anitra Davis, had the incredible thought to put some of that art money into the neighborhoods. And so I know that tonight is kind of bittersweet for several of you.
Right now,
I've actually been where you are, and I know that it's tough, but I want you to know that as you drive through every neighborhood in this community, look at what you've done. Look at what you've done. Anthony Northside, Riverside, Normal City, Westridge, South Central. I mean, your footprint is all over this community, and we appreciate that. And so as the neighborhood president, who we're going to have an amazing tree program, I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you for having that courage to put that aside and taking that stand and seeing it through and working across the aisle. So I appreciate that on behalf of all the neighborhoods, but especially Westridge. Thank you.
Andrew Pop.
All right. For the last time to this council, good evening, Andrew Pop. Jeff, I spot checked. Nobody called you on time, though. Roe and Troy, the citizens are confused. I guess they both thought you guys were on the Democrat Party. So something to check. I want to congratulate everybody who won. I want to wish the outgoing council people the best of luck in whatever the future may hold. I want to thank, I want to hope the new council that comes in can be as successful as this council has been as a whole. Unfortunately, for the last 4 years, we've had failed campaign promises, misleading statements, and critical errors made across the board, none of which came from this body, but they did come from the building. I am praying that the people who take the seats in front of me at next month's meeting hold the high standard of character and ethics that this board holds as a majority, as a whole. It is also my hope that the next board deals with the critical issues that are coming up just in the upcoming year. Union negotiations. This was a 1-year contract that the fire and police signed. There's union negotiations upcoming. Hopefully the process is followed this time. There's firehouses that need to be built. That was brought up. There's a public works committee that needs held. And there's also a crisis center that is now becoming more of an issue that may come before this council. I hope it comes before this council. It isn't circumvented like the last 3.5 years have been of this council. There are outgoing members, and unlike others, I am sorry to see Jeff and Troy and Brad and Roger go. I truly am, because while we didn't always agree, Roger, just 2 months ago, we had a pretty firm conversation. I believe you represent your people well. I believe you represent your district well. Brad, you're new. I think you've done an admirable job in your stay. And obviously, Troy and Jeff, I appreciate you guys always taking my call. Miss Selvey, thank you for always calling me back. I always called you at the worst times, but by God, you always called me back. The last thing that I'll point up, I brought it up earlier. I didn't have my phone on me. Mr. Clark, last week, 11:58 a.m., Wednesday, the 22nd. It looks like I left you a voicemail to call me back. Got the call right here. I could have the wrong phone number.
Yeah, you do, because it's on Wednesday, the 22nd, the night before Thanksgiving. No.
Okay.
Well, you are ringing me and it's not coming up as a.
Okay. So I must have the wrong number. It must be a glitch between Verizon and whoever your provider is. So, but I'm glad the number works. I'll keep it in mind. Thank you guys so much. Best of luck again to everybody moving forward, and best of luck to the council coming on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pop. That is it for public comment. We did want to leave a little bit of time at the end of the meeting in case any council members wanted to speak. There are several, as we've heard, there are several of us who won't be coming back next month. So if there's anyone who wishes to speak,
Can I speak on your guys'
now would
behalf?
be the time. Hang on one second. Councilman Overby, do you have anything you wish to say?
I was caucused in almost 2 years ago, and it's been a challenge. It's been a good experience. I said it in the beginning. I'll say it now. I never wanted to be a politician, and when people called me a politician, I thought they was cussing me out. But I do like public service. I've been around, as Charlie said, for a while. And I want to say it's been an honor and a privilege working with this council. We didn't always agree, but we agreed to disagree. And I seen somebody make one of them comments on there that some of us were 214 sheep. And I got to say, I have never, ever, since I've been on this council, had the chairman of the party say anything to me about what was going on in the council. Matter of fact, if I wanted to talk to her, I'd on her up. The vice chair's sitting right here, and we don't always agree. We don't talk about, he don't tell me how to vote. We talk about different issues. But sometimes I want to punch him. But wake up, Gary. Sorry to punch you. But no, I've reached across the aisle many a time to talk to people on this council. Had some meetings with Mr. Ingram, a lot of a conversation with Mr. Clark, different members of the council, and politics be damned. I just think everybody on this council has done the best they could for the public, not the parties, but the public. And I appreciate that. That's what needs to happen. And I hope that keeps on happening. And I have a question for Mr. Barber. Where's our damn cake?
Thank you, Councilman Overby, and thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I've been up here a short stay, as many of you know, but I do want to thank God for giving me this opportunity. It's been wonderful to serve constituents of District 4. I want to thank my wife and my family. They've supported me in this. It's been a difficult year, but we've had a lot of challenges and made it through. I want to thank this council and all of you for giving me advice, being here, agreeing with me, disagreeing with me at times as well. That's what's important. That's part of this process, an important process of our government. I also want to thank all the public that comes to these meetings. It is great to see a full crowd in here tonight. You guys are what's important. That is how things get done. You elected all us to serve. and I believe we all did our best in serving the community. And want to thank you guys all for trusting us. Lastly, I want to challenge the incoming council. I see quite a few of them here tonight. There were some here last month as well. I challenge them to work and remember their constituents. Start your work now. You may not be in until January, but we've got a lot of work coming. We've talked about that several times tonight. Call us, call the clerk, call the council, call the mayor. There's a lot of resources here to help you guys hit the ground running. So don't hesitate to reach out. Want to thank our president for the time he served. Appreciate being on the board and the council here with every one of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you.
We obviously won't be on at 9 o'clock.
So I first want to just thank the citizens of Muncie for giving me this opportunity to serve them. It has been an amazing experience. Good times and bad, absolutely. Some high tensions that happens when you have a lot of people who are passionate about what they're doing. And I believe most all of us up here are definitely passionate about what we are doing, which is serving the citizens of Muncie. I also want to thank my beautiful wife for weathering the storms when I would come home from meetings that I was upset about how things went or whatever, or allowing me to take phone.
No, come on, don't do this. Come on.
Calls on date night from.
Damn it. Date night Thursdays. When we snuggle up and watch Bilbrey.
Constituents who had issues and everything I just tried to do in this seat. And but I told my wife when I was elected, I've got 4 years. I don't care about re-election or any of that other stuff. I've got 4 years to get up and to try and make a difference and to try and make a change in this community. And with the help of some of the amazing people you see sitting next to me, I feel like
I could not have done it without my beautiful family over there, minus Avery, who's a college student now and living the life of her own. So I love each and every one of you, Jack, Lily, Jet, Maria, little Will. You guys are my rock, and I thank you for that. I served.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
And I came out 4 years ago because of the situation that our city was in. I believe we are on the right track, and I believe this council has served the citizens well. We obviously are divided on our political beliefs and sometimes on the things that we voted on, but that's what makes this city and this country great, is that we can have a debate. We can share our thoughts and our ideas, vote on it, and move on to the next order of business. So thank you all for investing your time in your neighborhoods. I see a lot of neighborhood association leaders out there. It's a thankless job at times for our neighborhoods. You're trying to pour out and build up a city that really needs you. I wasn't planning on getting emotional, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve, and I'm grateful for that.
Councilman Garrett, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want.
You're coming back. Let's make sure again.
Yeah.
Brandon's back.
Well,
he's been itching to say something, so I want to give him the chance.
As a part of the new council, we have huge shoes to fill. I was caucused into. You see what had happened the 4 years before your original council members got on. You have really shaped and molded and helped every one of us that got on. We would not be able to look at our votes and the way that we agree and disagree, but the way that every one of us and every one of you held yourself up here and off of here is a huge testament to what our city needs to move forward. Aaron always coming with, right on the money. You've always got you're ready to go. You've got everything. Anytime someone's you've got all your ducks in a row.
I don't know about that.
Troy, you did do it 100%. You leave here, and every time I see you at the campground, you did make a difference. You always answered your phone. You were always there. You did do it. Brad, you were up here for a short period of time, but you always had great questions. The line items, you always had your eye on the budget. You were precise in your questions and your answers, and I appreciate that. Roger, you've been here since the chief of Muncie was put up. Everything that, your knowledge goes back deep and far. I've had to dive into you a couple times about some stuff from the past, and you're always right there and always ready to answer questions. And Jeff, you have became a very close friend of mine, your parents as well. I thank you for all your help. And we just, as the new council comes in, this is bipartisanship at the best, working together and getting results done. And I hope to see that continue. But thank all of you for your service. And more importantly, I know the citizens thank every one of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Councilman Dishman.
Yeah, I want to thank all you guys for serving on the council. And I like say most of you was, appointed in here, but the ones of you that been doing a good job, I could say that out from my heart, you guys have done a good job. And I know that we've had a little bit of problems back and forth, but we got over it. And I don't look as you being a D or an R or whatever. I look at you as my friend. Mm-hmm. And I wish this next council would be the same way too. And we need to put the politics aside and get the city of Muncie going.
Yep. Absolutely.
I appreciate serving with you guys.
Absolutely. Councilwoman Sylvan.
I was focused in also, and I came in thinking that I knew what I was doing, but it is because of everyone sitting on here, guiding me when I had questions. I've called almost every one of them, and they have given me the best advice. They didn't care what party I belonged to. They have made me who I am today. I have learned very, very fast, really quick, because they were not selfish with their knowledge, with their willingness to share. And I trust every one of them. And also I want to add that every one of them have treated me with nothing but respect. And being for a long time the only female on here, they've treated me with respect, and like one of the guys too. So meaning they didn't think, so I felt that support, and I appreciate your kindness and your respect and everything for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sylvie. Councilman Green, do you have anything to add?
Well, I'd like to tell you, I appreciate each and every one of you, what you have done, the experience that you've given to me while I've been on here. I remember back 2.5 years ago or more, Jeff, you were the first one to reach out to me, and I appreciate that. And you've called and checked on me many different times, and I appreciate that. The input from every one of you.
This is the longest I've ever
sorely
heard
be
him
missed,
speak.
all of you. I appreciate your stand to do what's right. I would say probably 85 to 90% of the time, if you go back in the record and you look, it was 9-0 on votes on everything. There were a few issues that came up that we divided on, but for the most part, everybody cares about the city and wants the city to flourish and grow and prosper. And you guys have proved that, and you'll be missed. I want you to know that. Appreciate every one of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Green. just obviously, a lot of the same things folks have said. You don't need to hear me say again. Obviously, thank you to my constituents. It's been an honor, a privilege to serve District 2, pride of the West Side, the land of milk and honey. This has really been a really great, but also eye-opening experience. And tonight, and you guys know me, I always come prepared. And tonight, I really, more than anything, want to give a message to the incoming council. First of all, and many of whom are here this evening, most of all, I want to wish you all good luck. This is a thankless job. Okay, it's a thankless job. It's a difficult job. Tonight is really, I think, probably the first time many of us have heard thank you. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not pining for it, but I want to warn you. This is a thankless job and a very, very difficult job. Making decisions you feel are best for your collective constituencies should always, to a couple others' points, should always be the top of your mind. Making decisions for what's best for the people. Sometimes when you do that, you're going to be running counter to what is being proposed. We saw it here this evening. Sometimes you're going to be running counter to what is being proposed. When that happens, you're going to be vilified. Okay, you are going to be vilified. You're going to be called horrible names, rumors made up about you, things said about you by people that will never step foot in this building, by people who will never do a damn thing for this community. Okay, what I want you all to do when that happens, because it will happen, just do what I did and just keep moving forward. To hell with them. As long as your heart's in the right place and you can walk out of this door at the end of your 4 years like I'm going to do tonight, and you feel proud of the job that you did in spite of them all, because they don't have the balls to put their name on a ballot. They don't have the guts to come in and to try to say anything. They'll just do it from their lazy boy. So I'm urging you all, stay the course. Do what's right for your constituents. Leave your personal and your political beliefs at the front door when you come in. We've done our best. Those of us who have been here for 4 years and those of us who haven't been here for those 4 years. We've done our best. I hope that we leave this council better than when we received it. And I hope that you all hand off a council better than when you receive it. I hope that we've set some type of precedent here with this council for how things should be done with public input, by listening to our constituents, by answering that call every time. Something I'm very proud of. And Troy and I talked earlier, and I told him he and I can both walk out of here tonight with our heads held high, knowing that we did everything the right way, no matter what anybody on Facebook's saying. So Godspeed and good luck to you all.
Here, here.
And with that,
Mr. President, I want to thank you. Mr. President, I want to thank you. I know I said my spill, but I want to thank you because from day one at the caucus, I leaned on you for several things and tapped into your experience. And we didn't always agree on everything, but we got the job done. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Councilman Overby. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Are you ready for some
Just
football?
let it linger.
Oh my God, folks, that was supposed to be an hour-long meeting. Here's the thing. I am getting ready to go use the little boys' room. And then I am going to get with Audie. And then we will be live, not here on this feed. We will be live. It'll look like this. So you don't have a question. So there's no question out there at all. It'll look like this. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to get it up here. Show you. It'll look like, oh, woo, I messed up. Come on, I gotta pee. It'll look like this. I just killed it. Hold on. Oh my God. I'm getting ready to pee. I need to get a catheter. Look for this on YouTube, folks. This is what it'll be here, right here. It'll look like this. Look for this. And we will see you at 9:30. 9:30. If you get there, let other people know we'll be a little late because the meeting went over. 9:30. So if someone can go there and comment, we would appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Good bye to the council. We'll talk to you on the flip side. Kate, can you play some music out of here and then kill the feed? I gotta go use the little boy's room.